Well, here we go. So we got some time. Let's go ahead and record a video this way. I know somebody asked me a while back the question of how long will it take before Texas becomes basically a Mexican state, and I think it's already here to a large point. But I wanted to talk about this because I saw that Scott Greer and this guy who I have seen before, this Braxton McCoy, apparently this rancher, quote unquote, out of Idaho, and he's just like, these abuelas sure are nice, this and that, that sort of thing. And I think it speaks to kind of like an old notion of like the antebellum South. I'm gonna give that take. So bear with me. The reason I say this is because they see, these Mexican farm hands and these folks that are vaqueros, this and that. Of course, the Mexican version of the cowboy. They see them as equals, and they see them as friends. And I think it's a very paternalistic sort of thing that I think in a certain way you saw in the antebellum South, not the full on like we got to get rid of the negras, this and that, but I'm talking more about maybe even more of what occurred in, say, formerly Zimbabwe, or formerly Rhodesia became Zimbabwe. Much more paternalistic nature, like we're helping these folks and whatnot, but they need to be overseen, right? And I think that's somewhat not a complete. It's not completely one to one, but I think that there's the thought process is there. Like, oh, I'm not gonna discount the Hispanos that live in my community, this and that. The thing is this, man. This is what you need to realize. Is to a point, I always try to remember it deep down. Is that when worst comes to worst, my peoples come first. Now, you can view my peoples, you can go ahead and define it whatever way you want. But to me, you have to be aware that people are going to choose what they feel is going to represent them best. They're not going to be your friends. They're not, just because you think that you're friends with them, or that maybe you've gone to their house drinking with them or whatever. Maybe you've, even, smashed, their girlfriend or something like that. That's another aspect that I'll talk about here in a moment. But, there's a lot of the, rural folks out there and really who are just like, well, I like them as farm hands because the white folks are just too darn lazy, this and that, But the thing is, though, is we all get fucked up by America. And it's like, yeah, maybe the folks who come, to the United States from Mexico or from Guatemala or wherever, they do end up, they are hard workers and everything else. If you really want to look at it in the normie con conservative way. But if you look beneath the surface and you go 2, 3, 4 generations in, that may change. And they get swallowed up by this bullshit. Same as everything else. I used to be one of these folks who's like, oh, yeah, America's still a trad country. No, it isn't. At this point, the United States is a cultural wasteland. You can go ahead and say there were cultural ties, but they've been destroyed through various means, whether it was the fact that German was still a big language in the United States up until the First World War, and Germans were killed. They were persecuted for their speaking of the language and whatnot. Obviously, the Second World War with the German-American Bund, that destroyed their culture. Of course, in today's age, no racism, this and that, but it's a different sort of thing, right? Why do I bring this up? Because ultimately it goes to show that this was the beginning of that. And the thing is, you'll have these folks who claim to be Puerto Rican or claim to be Cuban. It's like, hi, how you doing? I'm a Latina. It's just like they speak, they have this note that, they have to put that inflection in. I'm a Latina from Costa Rica. Oh, no, but it's okay. And then they immediately sound as white as they can. And it's something that, obviously you'll see. And there are plenty of folks who, you could tell right away that they're Chicano or Hispanic or whatever you want to say. You know, and I think, that, like I say, I'm not going to promote racism. I'm not going to promote the whole thing of, oh, well, let's ban all the Hispanos. It's like, no, realistically, the United States could not live without immigration. That is the reality because conservatives have made it that way. Conservatives, of course, will claim to be hard workers. It's not will claim, oh, we want to see America grow, or we just don't like this. But when it comes to Hispanos, when it comes to Chicanos, they're like, yeah, they have a soft spot for them because in a way they see them as their domestic workers. Like I said, this kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. I think it's important to realize that, is that it's this sort of, they're my friends and all that sort of thing. It's like, are they? Are they really your friends? Like I say, that's why I'm always very careful about what I reveal to folks or how I talk to folks because you don't know what people really believe or what they really truly say. If things really broke down in the United States, if that ever did occur, people are going to go around folks that they know. So hopefully no one's going to bother me. Anywho, I'll go ahead and wrap this up. Another aspect, of course, is that, you'll get some Hispano women, you'll get some Chicano women. You're like, don't get me wrong. I've been there. I'm not going to sit here and ignore it and be like, oh, yeah, it happens. It happens. You do. And more often than not, white folks can't handle it. The white boys can't handle that. Yeah, they jump in head first and a couple kids, and it's like, those aren't your kids. You think that they're going to be, are they going to see themselves as white? Are they going to see themselves as, being, POC? Probably going to see themselves as POC. And all you were was a sperm donor, Once again, I'm not advocating, like, oh, we need to ban all that. But the thing is that you look at Tyson, for example, Tyson's Chicken, plenty of illegal folks work there. You look at the fact that, most of the produce produced in this country or brought to the market is through, illegals. And a lot of folks who work for, farm workers union and all that sort of thing. So you have to be realistic about it. I'm just saying this as a reality where you can look at people like this Braxton McCoy who says stuff like, we should go ahead and seal the borders immediately because he hates blue state flight and all this sort of thing. Oh, here we go. Let me read one of these treatments. Thinking real hard about telling y'all how I feel about any .gov agency that they're going to take my friend away because he was born in Mexico and brought here as a baby, but I don't want to be on another list. The thing that turns me away from Republicans more than anything else is their apparent dislike of Mexican workers. Some of the best people and by far the best damn hands I know are Mexican. We eat, ride, and drink together, and I surely don't want that to end, good papers or not. But the thing is, though, a lot of folks have talked about this beef between Scott Greer and this Braxton McCoy, who I just read from, libertarian, of course, lives in Idaho, I believe. And the thing is, you have to ask them the question, be like, okay, how much do you pay him? How much do you pay those Mexicans who are your friends, this and that? Would you pay them the same as you would this and that as a white person would? Would you pay him the same thing? And he wouldn't try to, form a union or try to get more money out of you, stuff like that. I mean, I think, anybody who comes to the United States to a point will be paused and they will end up fucked up in this whole lifestyle. It happens. We all get screwed up. I think that's just the whole thing. The US just kind of sucks you in and you come out different. You do. I can't speak to other countries, but I think for the United States especially, it does. You just come out of it shell shocked. You come out of it just kind of, It's all underneath. That's the whole thing with the United States. I know I'm getting real schizo, but just kind of just sift through the bullshit and hopefully you'll get to the point. But I guess I'll finish it with this. Is when you see these folks who, talk about the great food, they're Iowans with better food or something like that. Like Mexicans are, oh, well, we like the Mexicans, this and that. But the minute that they start talking about we want to be equal to whites and we want to have, when we start to vote, we want to start to have more representation, then that's the question of, are they really going to be seen as your friends and whatnot? Or do you want them to be put in their place to say, if you stay here and if you're a good guy, this and that, right? That's the reality of it. So I think, once it does happen with Chicanos or Hispanics or whichever term you want to use, Spanish speaking and Portuguese speaking peoples become more of a majority in this country, and they will. They will. When that occurs, these old boomer whites who live out, the urban, or excuse me, out in the rural countryside, who are raising horses or are ranchers or whatever, and you start to realize it's like, they're not going to just be your good little, you know, how are you doing, Mister? How are you doing, Mister McCoy? You doing all right, man? You know, and when they don't play along in your little world, how are you going to feel? Maybe I'm making the leftist case here, but I feel like we have to, at least I'm trying to look at it in a pragmatic way. So hopefully, y'all got something out of that. I hope y'all at least got something out of it. I'm really trying not to promote racism or anything else like that. I'm just saying it as it is. You can shut the borders today in the United States, and the fact is that within 10 to 20 years, we will have mostly a, Chicano, Spanish speaking, and maybe Portuguese to a different degree, speaking society. It's just that simple. Numbers don't lie. So anyway, hopefully y'all got something out of that. Hopefully y'all could say, "Meh, it was okay," or you can say, "Meh, you know, it was off mark." Anyway, I'm just rambling at this point. Hopefully y'all enjoy that. See you later. A goodbye.